was hoping to see energy. Our walkthrough this morning wasn't as energetic as one would have hoped. Some of that's because the vets aren't involved. So the young guys are kind of looking for guidance, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes not fun, to see kind of what people do without guidance. We're a structured bunch. Most people in athletics are. So when there's the structure is different, when the people are different that are leading the way, those become you. You kind of find out real fast kind of who is ready to go, at least mentally. And I think that showed this afternoon with the offense. Not a ton of energy. The first drive was probably their best drive. I think it was 12 or 13 plays. Kind of had the defense on their heels a little bit, but defense got a couple balls out, a couple turnovers. We were just too sloppy on offense, and we knew some of that's going to happen without our leaders, our captains. But you still lead without a helmet on, and so that's going to be kind of the approach as we go forward, because who knows who's going to be shooting in certain games. You can still lead even though you're not part of the 11 out on the field, and so we need to grow up faster in some areas than maybe one would have hoped or thought. But in other areas, I think we're further along growth-wise than maybe we thought as well. So we'll take a look at it. How much we'll get out of this is seeing who made the plays and who is in position to make plays when we get to see the film. But defense won the day, undoubtedly. It was the antithesis of last Monday when the offense kind of had their way. But that's what good football teams are. It goes back and forth. It just so happened to be not every series back and forth. It was Monday offense, Saturday defense, and so and you expect that when defense is playing most of their guys on defense. That was the expectation. They rose the level of the expectation to be able to do what they did against some guys that normally wouldn't be in the position on offense to play as many snaps as they did.
You have a lot of 21 high school graduates obviously on this team now, and that was a group that didn't get a full season during COVID. And I'm curious, what was the process like to recruit those guys, and are they potentially an under-recruited bunch that you've got?
Well, I think looking back, you probably could say it was a little under-recruited. It was weird. It was odd. No one knew. I mean, there was no handbook in terms of how to recruit, when to recruit, if you're Zoom, can't officially visit. All visits were unofficial, and they had to come on their own to find times to come without walking them around campus. I mean, there was a lot of logistics to that. It was different times. But what I do think is, because we got to play a whole fall without games, we got to practice pretty much all fall. Obviously in pockets, having 3 practices a day for a better part of 2 or 3 months, because we were capped at 50 people. We were O, D, and then rookies. So the rookies kind of got the freshman class kind of got their own hour and 15 minutes. And again, they were excited. The coaches weren't, because they were out there for 3 hours and 45 minutes, an hour and 15 for 3 different practices. So that's how we chose to break that up, given the numbers that we were able to have on the field, albeit it was only helmets. I think that allowed those guys to springboard themselves into spring when we actually did compete, to be further along than they would have been. The White Hansons and the Efton Chisholms of the world, obviously they can play ball, but when you put 40 or 50 times out on the field together and you're running your offense in the fall and then coming back after winter break for a fall camp in the middle of winter, you're a couple steps ahead. So those guys have done a great job. There's only a couple guys in that class that did not redshirt in terms of in that spring or even the next fall, in fall of 22 or in the fall of 21. So they really had kind of a fall against each other, a truncated spring, and then most of those guys played that following fall. So those guys played 3 seasons in a row without any of those guys, air quote, redshirting. So they played a lot of ball, and we're better off for it. So it's a big class, but certainly I don't know if it's under-recruited, depending on who you talk to, but we felt really, really good about our class, but didn't know how it was going to end when you're doing all your recruiting via telephone and or Zoom. But the one nice thing I will say is most of our guys are Washington guys. 2/3 of our guys usually every year are Washington guys. We've had a relationship with them before we started recruiting them. So had we done this where 2/3 of our class was out of state, I don't know that you would have got a good enough feel without meeting parents and family members, sitting in the office and kind of talking everything but ball. So I think that helps when you're a team that recruits locally, most of your guys locally, because you have a a little bit of a cheat sheet on a lot of those guys before they actually get the later recruitment in 11th and 12th grade.
What's been the process of getting ready for North Dakota State specifically here?
Well, we started to kind of thumb through a few of the pages the last couple days. From Wednesday night on, we kind of put our focus a little bit, not sole focus, but a good focus on North Dakota State, especially the vets. So the challenge has been kind of breaking up the vets for the North Dakota State piece, knowing that they're not going to play today. The special teams kind of lean in special teams wise, what we intend to see from last fall. Heck, I'm sitting in my office and my daughter says, so how do you know what North Dakota State does? You're watching film on North Dakota State special teams, and it's like, well, that was last year. She goes, well, she doesn't understand. Why are you watching last year's tape when they haven't played a game this year? And I said, probably a good question. Sometimes you don't know in those first 2 or 3 games, no matter if they have same coordinators, same coaches, same players, you still don't know exactly sometimes what to expect. But one thing we can't expect is physicality. This will be probably the most physical team, without a doubt, that we will face all year. That's no disrespect to anybody that we will face, but week in and week out, year in and year out, they are and have been sustained champions for a long, long time. So highly respected, but we will fear no one in the process either.
How important is it for some of the younger players who got a lot of run today to be able to get out there and make a play? And is there a moment where it's like, hey, I can do this?
Yeah, I think that helps. I kind of my whole theory is pat on the back either speeds you up or slows you down, and depends on who the person is. You say a nice job, that could get someone complacent. Another person with the same nice job could say, okay, well, I want to do more. That's why sometimes looking at the film after it's done, because sometimes you catch yourself saying, hell of a play, and then all of a sudden before you look at it on film, it was the wrong route. So that's why we try not to get too out in front of our skis from that perspective. But those guys, the awesome thing is they knew they were going to have the opportunity. So it wasn't, oh, by the way, you're going to be playing. 2-3 days ago, we said this is who's going to play. These guys aren't going to play, so process of elimination says I'm going to play. I don't think we did enough on offense to be ready for those opportunities that we knew were going to be presented to ourselves. We dropped too many balls. We didn't line up correctly too many times. There's some things that we need to clean up. Maybe not everybody, but it is. I don't want an issue to become a problem. And so whether it's young, medium, or old, those are some things that we need to clean up. If you have the opportunity to play 30, 40 snaps, I hope you're studying 4 days ago, not 4 minutes ago, for the opportunity. That's what we need to find out. And I don't know that we are mature enough with our young guys today with the preparation process to put ourselves in position to make enough plays. And that's unfortunate for guys that are wanting and willing are way, way different. Start with W, but are defined way differently. I think a lot of guys want to do it. We got to find out if they're willing to do it.